My name is Kyle Winter. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for the Department of Environmental Quality's Piedmont Regional Office. Thank you for attending. Before we proceed to the formal part of this evening's activities, I would like to recap some of the information made available during the information session just concluded, and then share some procedural details for tonight's reconvened hearing. The subject of tonight's reconvened hearing is the draft solid waste permit number 609 for the proposed Chesterfield Power Station fossil fuel combustion products management facility. This proposed landfill is to be located on the campus of the Dominion Chesterfield Power Station and is intended to be the repository of coal combustion residuals generated at the facility. The site suitability determination for this proposed landfill started in 2010 and was completed in 2012. This included local certification of the site by Chesterfield County. The design of the landfill commenced in 2012 and was completed in 2015. Construction of the proposed landfill, if approved, is planned to begin in 2016 with first waste placement in 2017. The total disposal acreage of the landfill is to be 66.4 acres. Total disposal capacity will be 9,361,333 cubic yards with an estimated life of 20 years. The proposed solid waste permit requires the installation of a liner system comparable to those used in modern sanitary landfills, a groundwater monitoring network, and eventual capping and post-closure care. Separate and apart from the proposed solid waste permit, the Dominion Chesterfield Power Station is also seeking permits from the Department of Environmental Quality pertaining to the dewatering and eventual closing of the two combustion residual ponds located on the power station campus. The draft landfill permit for which DEQ will be taking testimony this evening in no way addresses ash pond dewatering or closure. We appreciate that many of you may have strong feelings about these activities. However, the purpose of the reconvened hearing tonight is only to receive testimony regarding the sufficiency of the draft solid waste permit for the proposed landfill, and we therefore respectfully ask that speakers address their testimony to the draft permit for the landfill. When deciding whether to issue the landfill permit as drafted, or to issue the permit with modifications, or to deny the landfill permit, DEQ is authorized only to consider comments on the technical specifications of the landfill, the conditions imposed by the permit, and the mandates contained in law and regulation. Thank you for your participation and cooperation. I will now turn the proceedings over to Justin Williams, the hearing officer for tonight's reconvened hearing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 7 p.m. Wednesday, March 16, 2016. This week, convening of the hearing regarding the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality's proposed permit 609 for the Chesterfield Power Station fossil fuel combustion products management facility is now called to order. My name is Justin Williams, and I am the Director of the Land Protection and Revitalization Division. Today, I will serve as the hearing officer for this hearing. This hearing is being reconvened due to the severe weather that occurred on February 24, 2016, and its impacted on interested persons attending the public hearing. This public hearing is being held in the Chesterfield County Central Library, Central Meeting Room, 9501 Laurie Road, Chesterfield County, Virginia. The hearing is being held pursuant to Chapter 14, Article 2, Title 10.1, 1408.1d of the Code of Virginia, and the requirements of Part 3, 5, and 7 of the Virginia Solid Waste Management Regulations. A notice of this reconvened hearing was published in the Richmond Times-Dispatch newspaper on March 4, 2016 in accordance with Chapter 14, Article 1, Title 10.1, 1402.01 of the Code of Virginia. The purpose of this reconvened hearing is to receive verbal comments from the public on the technical merits of the draft permit for the Chesterfield Power Station fossil fuel combustion products management facility, permit number 609, proposed for issuance to Dominion Virginia Power, the applicant. The facility is located at 1603 Raymond Road, North Chesterfield, Virginia, 23237. Excuse me. Please note that the public comment period will remain open until 5 p.m. Thursday, March 31st, 2016. During this period, the Department of Environmental Quality will also welcome written comments on the proposed draft permit. The written comments should be directed to the designated contact for this project, Jason A. Miller, Land Protection Manager, DEQ Piedmont Regional Office, 4949A Cox Road, Glen Allen, Virginia, 23060. Email comments are also welcome and should be directed to Mr. Miller at jason.miller@deq.virginia.gov. Email comments are to include the full name and mailing address of the person commenting. Responses to comments specific to this project received during the comment period, either at this evening's hearing or in writing, will be responded to by the department. With respect to the evening's proceeding, the general proceeding for the hearing will be as follows. When you recall, please come forward to give your comments. Please speak clearly and accurately so your comments can be completely recorded in the official record of this hearing. I also respectfully ask that you direct your comments to me. You are requested to give your full name and mailing address, the name of the group or entity you are representing, if any, prior to stating your remarks. This will help ensure the department can provide you with a written response to comments. You are to limit your remarks to a maximum of 3 minutes in order to ensure that all who are present and desire to speak will have an opportunity to do so and given an equal amount of time to speak. At this hearing, public comments are encouraged on the technical merits of the draft permit. Though I'm sure this will be unnecessary as hearing officer for this hearing, I reserve the right to restrict comments based on the length of time or repetitive or disruptive content. After the comment period has concluded, the Director of the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality will consider the totality of the record, including all verbal and written comments received. He will then determine if the solid waste permit is to be issued to Dominion Virginia Power's Chesterfield Power Station, fossil fuel combustion product management facility as proposed. Before we commence with the taking of comments, is there anyone who wishes to speak who has not signed the register? If so, would you please come do so now? The register indicates that there are 12 names of persons wishing to speak on the record at this time. We'll now begin to call folks forward to come forward and give their comment. Half of the applicant.
My name is Kathy Taylor. I am the Director of the Electric Environmental Services Group, and thank you for the opportunity to provide comments tonight. The project under consideration tonight is for the construction of a new state-of-the-art landfill at the Chesterfield Power Station for the future.
It's not working.
My name is Kathy Taylor. I'm the Director of the Electric Environmental Services Group for Dominion. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments tonight. The project under consideration tonight is for the construction of a new state-of-the-art landfill at the Chesterfield Power Station for the future disposal of fly ash produced by the Chesterfield Power Station. This is one additional environmental improvement at the station. Previously at the station, we've invested nearly $1 billion in environmental improvements, including substantial improvements in air pollution reductions by installing controls that have reduced sulfur dioxide emissions by over 95% and over 90% reduction of nitrous oxides and mercury. The project under consideration is just one additional environmental improvement at the station. It's intended to provide future ash storage at the facility. The landfill as designed and as proposed is fully compliant with state solid waste regulations as well as the federal CCR rules. The landfill has been designed with a liner in compliance with the rule as well as an extensive groundwater monitoring network, post-closure care in terms of inspections and maintenance of the landfill. We support the permit as proposed and appreciate the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your comment. Bob Olson. I'm sorry, sir. Can you check the volume on that?
Pardon me, sir. Sorry. I reside at 2920 Ellsmere Drive in Logan, Virginia 23113. In the consideration of this, even though we're not supposed to comment on the ash ponds, I believe they're joined at the hip. It's hard to talk about one without the other. Since you have a capacity of 90,361,333 cubic yards, where the ponds have a capacity of about 2 million cubic yards according to Dominion officials at the last Chesterfield County Board of Supervisors meeting. It would be advantageous to protect the citizens of Chesterfield County to move those 2 million cubic yards from the fly ash ponds to this, quote, state-of-the-art, unquote, landfill. One of the items you do need to address down at the bottom, you talk about 10 groundwater monitoring wells installed around the landfill, semi-annually sampling to include heavy metals and reporting. That sampling should be done on a monthly basis. By the time it's 6 months, it's already, if there is a problem, it's already gone into the aquifer. It's way too late. You should do that testing on a monthly basis. You should test for heavy metals to include cadmium, arsenic, hexavalent, chromium, lead. All of those should be tested. The samples that are tested should be placed on a site, not only with Dominion Power, but with DEQ, so the public can have access to it. That way the citizens of Chesterfield County can be assured that if a problem shows up quickly and can be taken care of quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emmeline Phipps, do you want me to spell it? EMELINEPHIPPS. I live at 1900 Avondale Avenue, Richmond, Virginia, 23227. I am a teacher. I am a Virginia native, a member of the Richmond Bridal Chapter, Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League, no ACP. I'm here to voice my opposition to Solid Waste Permit 609. While I appreciate that the permit plans to keep the waste on site, I am opposed to the method of storing the waste in Subtitle D landfills. These landfills were never designed for the hazards presented by coal ash and are not suitable for such a toxic byproduct. The fatal flaw of solid waste landfills is that they are subject to natural forces, which make leakage and contamination inevitable, even when they are double-lined. Assurances by solid waste landfill regulators and commercial companies that waste is safely contained and managed by a double-lined landfill are false. Impartial experts agree that liner failure is inevitable, regardless of the liner type. Even the EPA admits that all liners will eventually leak. And the gentleman that I spoke to before admitted that when it leaked, there was nothing to do. You can't take the coal ash out, and you can't fix the liner. It's ignorant to claim that this landfill storage system will not one day leak into the James River. It's the responsibility of Dominion to safely store these toxic heavy metals and other compounds by preventing them from spreading into the air, soil, and water. I support and recommend that Dominion use a dry saltstone disposal process similar to that designed and engineered by the Department of Energy that would contain coal ash waste on site at the company's property, but isolate it from water, soil, and air, which regular Subtitle D landfills do not do. I urge the DEQ to hear the citizens of Virginia and our cry for you to hold Dominion to the highest standard possible. Your role is to protect the environmental quality of our beautiful home. Up to this point, we have been dissatisfied by the permitting choices you have made in regards to Dominion's coal ash waste. Do not fail us here. We demand clean water, air, and land.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, my name's really hard. It's Helena, Helena, Tuite, Tuite. I want to echo some of Emma's. I'm with No ACP, which is a Richmond Rebel chapter as well. I don't think double line is enough. We want dry salt stone disposal process. Ms. Taylor spoke to this state-of-the-art processing that they're doing, and actually just looked up what state-of-the-art means, and it means the best new ideas, or best, most up-to-date, and clearly double line is not the case. We want the best available technology for all dumping, or in all waste disposal that has anything to do with coal ash. We want the cost to be Dominion's and not to be put on the customer. Dominion is a monopoly. Virginia customers do not have any choice but to buy from Dominion, and they have been robbing our earth and our people for decades. We would like them to pay for it. We don't want self-regulation. We want third party. They dumped in Quantico Creek last year quite unethically, and we now know that they can't be trusted to self-regulate. We want DEQ members with unethical relationships with Dominion to recuse themselves from any decision-making around coal ash. We found out this week that David Taylor has been sent to trips by Dominion, and we're looking into other DEQ members at what they've gotten from Dominion. Not personally, but with the relationships they have with their nonprofits. Hopefully, anybody around this permit that has relationships with Dominion or received gifts from Dominion will recuse themselves. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Will Rogers?
I got my questions answered. Thank you.
Tom? Takar? Takiar, sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Pacular, and I'm Vice President of Technology for Hands Across the Lake. And our mailing address is 1752 in Midlothian 23113. My technical background is in chemical engineering and in private industry. And as such, I've worked 38 years on both the micro and the macro properties of high-density polyethylene. My comment tonight is the observation is that this technology that we use that's legal just doesn't work. It leaks. And G. Fred Lee, one of the premier consultants in California, has tried to study why it leaks for the EPA, and we still are left with an unsatisfactory design. We don't know what to do. One suggestion: if you look at the joining of seams of high-density polyethylene, as soon as you heat the polymer, the crystalline structure changes. It becomes weak. You have no specifications for the strength of the seams, so that may be a good source of leakage. If you look at a steel pipe and you weld it, you try to build up the layers to offset the changed crystalline structure during the weld, so that you have a uniform pressure that this seam would relate to. We don't have anything comparable like this for this kind of design. One of the observations in your notes here is that you test these welds very nicely. And if I look at the permit for how you sample, you filter the sample through a 0.45 micron filter, so that you're excluding any particulate matter that's included in state law. So you're getting a biased reading of the intent of the lawmakers when they developed the code for Virginia. Those are my two comments.
Bluetooth. If you
We can't hear the
Close to
gentleman.
the mic.
I'm sorry, can you?
if you don't test properly the fluent coming out of your test wells and other areas, you're not getting a true read. And it's my understanding the main thing you test for in most influents are just iron. And with coal ash, you have all these other arsenic, lead, cadmium, selenium, just a laundry list of harmful metals and chemicals. And we're, you're not dealing with that at all. And this landfill that's being built really doesn't address something that you don't want to hear tonight, is that you've got unlined pits which have about what the capacity of this landfill is, and it would be better used to put that coal ash that's in these unlined pits that are just going to be covered up and will leak and will affect the groundwater and the James River. And before all the scrubbers were put on, we polluted the Tank River, which has no industry on it at all. And they have you're just the usual thing that DEQ is doing. You're not really addressing the problem. You need to address the problems for the health of the citizens of this county. Thank you.
I would say sad to be here again, but sadness is starting to become anger. I see all these young people coming here with their great technical ideas and advice, and yet I've seen this now for several years talking to you about this and no action is taken. So I want to point out, one, I don't think you use the right process to do public comment. Every time I'm on a list with the state, and I get a list of every action that I'm interested in public comment, but I have to call somebody to find out how to give it. Usually public comment is put on the site and everyone can read other people's comments. Now, I did get a letter back about my comments that I had to email to someone, and my name wasn't even included. What you did was you put about 20 names together, and then you did your own summary of the public comments. I think that's totally improper. We should be able to see what other people have to say, and I think this should be done again, or everybody's comment should be put online so people can see it in the period extended. Because right now, I think the whole method is flawed, really flawed, and I intend to send a complaint about it. Their public comment, because it's for the public to see. The other thing is, I don't even understand the conditions that you're talking about that we have to speak about. You're saying that we can only speak about technical issues? Well, this is much more than a technical issue. First of all, you're saying that the landfill is for 20 years. Some of our grandchildren, nieces, nephews will just be about 20 in 20 years, and they'll be suffering the impact of any health issues, from leaching, from contamination of soil, of air contamination. I'm here again, sick again another year, because of the water, because of the air quality that's impacted by the fly ash, the small particles that go into the air. And we also have to worry about water contamination. And what that impact is on our industry in Virginia, where we're looking at organic farming becoming a big issue in Virginia, of farmland, of the water we drink. This is crazy. You can't just limit a discussion to the technical end. And it also isolates so many people from responding. They actually need an engineering degree, a chemical engineering degree, some other degree to make any kind of sense out of this. And it's totally improper. It's your job to educate the people so that they know what the issues are. And this doesn't do it. I also really feel like we have paid through tax dollars so much money for cleanups, for super cleanups. What do you mean that Dominion gets to mix their carcinogenics with our garbage, with all the things that are dumped out there that do degrade and don't contaminate as much? And we're going to mix it all together, and then in 20 years, when we find out there's an increase in cancer, that Dominion says, well, we're only part of the problem. No, this belongs in an isolated area.
eq.virginia.gov. That is also available on our website, as well as the materials has that contact information as well.
Virginia spelled out?
Yes.
At deq.virginia.gov.
Does it have a dot for Virginia?
Jason.
It's Jason.
Okay.
And their address is also, if you want to pick up a material, you can use it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time because a lot of what I wanted to say has already been mentioned by some of the speakers here. But I just wanted to say that we moved to Virginia from North Carolina, where the liners and the coal ash ponds did fail and it leaked into the Dan River. So I really urge the Department of Environmental Quality to repeal the permit and to recommend that Dominion use the safer method, which is the salt stone block that the young woman referred to. I know that this is already being used in Maryland by power plants there, and it's much safer. I don't understand why we would risk public health otherwise when it's not necessary. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Standing behind 6950 Fieldwood Road in Chester. I just want to follow up on what the young lady said earlier about the testing and the response plan. Nothing I've read on this indicates that there's any plans or techniques or known intentions of what to do when this thing does leak, which it will someday. And I would just say that without any plan to address that, that this shouldn't go forward. The saltstone method has been talked about. It's from everything I read about it, it's superior. And according to the plan here, Dominion only has a responsibility to actively manage this waste for 50 years under this plan. Well, that's a blink of the eye in real time. That 50 years is going to go by in our children's lifetime, and then at that time, Dominion's going to have no more responsibility, and basically no one will. So until that long-term planning is addressed and complete, I would oppose this plan. Thank you for your comment.
Slade, and I'm a longtime resident of Chesterfield County. My address is 5311 Chestnut Bluff Terrace, 23112. And basically, I just want to confirm what I believe I heard you say earlier, and I'll do it this way. As a grandmother of 2 grandsons who are still developing, still growing, both physically and psychologically, did you in fact say that I would be unable to comment in any way unless it's on the technical merits? Is that correct?
I believe the reference was for Mr. Winter, and the goal of it focusing on the technical merits is to focus in the comments on the specific permitted issue. So you can feel free to comment if you have specific comments you want.
Okay, then I will. Obviously, I'm in the 3rd stage or phase of my life. I won't be here probably when we get to the 20 years, definitely not the 50 years. My grandchildren, God willing, will still be here. So they will, very possibly, pay the price for whatever happens here tonight, whether it's approved or not. And I, for them, am saying I oppose it as their grandmother and someone who will not be here 50 years from now to do anything about it. I'm absolutely against this plan. Thank you.
My name's Herb Walk. I live at 1001 Clear Lake Road, North Chesterfield, 23236. I really came to get some questions answered. And I had a little bit of a dialogue. I think I talked with Jason Miller earlier. And he said your concern was basically talking about this permit only and not other options. And I guess let me give you a little bit of my background. 1967, I got transferred to Richmond. And I didn't know what a refractory person was, but I turned out to be a refractory engineer for a little bit of time. And I worked down, the first thing I got to do was go down to a Vesco plant, and we were talking about this fly ash. And they were trying to turn it into something to make solite blocks with some black liquid. Anyway, it's pretty bad stuff we're trying to get rid of it. Didn't work out commercially. So that's almost 50 years ago, and it's been accumulating all that time. They knew it was a problem then. They actually put some in the concrete in the building. I just built a little 2,400 square foot toy shop for my fund, my retirement. Didn't work out too well. Some other things happened, but there was a lot of fly ash in it. In any event, this stuff is not the greatest thing in the world. And when we talk about plastic, one of the businesses that I was in and got associated a little bit with Dominion Power was underground cable. And underground cable did not make a big hit in the Richmond area because there was something called treeing that happened in the plastic because it broke up underground. Those things happen. Hopefully the technology has improved. But when I asked for underground cable in 1975, it became a very expensive process that they made it so I couldn't put it in. In any event, plastics are good things. My new 3D printer does great stuff with it. But how is it going to hold up underground? That's yet to be determined. And my questions that I can't get answered, I'm afraid, are what are the options? Because when I came to Richmond, and one of the things I worked on that same period of time was the number 6 power plant, which is still operating. But since then, they've decommissioned some plants and gone to natural gas. So from what I understand from this process is they intend to continue using coal in these operations and making additional fly ash that they need to bury away. So I'm saying if they're really spending $300 million to solve this problem, could that not be done by converting to a different fuel that's not going to have that problem? So, I have those questions and I don't know how to get them answered. Any response from you?
Yes, sir. So after we conclude the hearing tonight, there will be staff available as well as throughout the public comment period, including Mr. Miller. You can ask specific questions too regarding options or any other questions you have about that.
Yeah, well, he said the options weren't available at that point because, you know, you were only looking at the permit because you had asked to, you know, as I call it, a big hole. You're asked to say, how adequate is that? I'm saying, are there other options? I spent a career in industrial engineering and management, and rather than just looking at one thing, you have to look at all the varied options, and probably Dominion has done it, and maybe they're more expensive. But maybe they're not in the long term, and to satisfy and make folks in the area feel happy that you're not making more fly ash.